What's going on, Memorial basketball fans? I'm Charles Strayer.
And I'm Teddy Harless.
And we are here for the holiday break edition of our basketball analysis series. Let's get right down into it.
Girls basketball kept their streak going with dominant wins against New Richmond and Wausau West.
Just continuing what we said with the Lacrosse Logan game, even though the opponent isn't supposed to come out on top, you got to make sure that you're confident so as to not give up an upset game. And we were not going to get upset in either of these contests.
Yeah, some things that were key to the wins. We had great inside the paint percentages, and we had great points off turnovers, which probably helped each other out in some ways.
Yeah, for sure.
But those were the keys to winning those games in such a dominant fashion.
Yeah, these girls, the Memorial is hot right now. They are on a streak for sure. These aren't the toughest opponents we are going to face, like we're going to get into here in a second, but 9-1 is an impressive place to be here about mid-season, and the chemistry is off the charts. Everybody is just playing off of one another. The team mindset is really coming through here, and we're putting up big numbers.
And we're staying aggressive even against easier opponents. Like the full court press we're doing is contributing to those turnovers and points off turnovers that were really key in those dominant wins.
Yeah. Absolutely. A little ruthless? Sure. But necessary? Yeah.
Talking about that ruthlessness and the aggression and giving us some insight into games going into the future, take a look at this interview by Rayna Welsch, who scored 19 points and got 11 rebounds in the game against Wausau West.
The whole team mentality, I think it's safe to say, is very much focused on defensive aggression. Now, how do you think that sort of thing plays into these big wins? You've had some massive wins.
I think our press is definitely a big part of that. We're really aggressive with it, and we have a lot of players who can just fly around and really just like mess up what they're trying to do. And so our press is definitely a huge part of that. And we've really locked in this year, especially of just like never giving up on a play and always like keeping up the pressure. So that's really helped us.
Menomonie is right around the corner. So coming off of these games that you guys have handled pretty well, won fairly handily, how do you plan on facing these tougher opponents in the upcoming weeks?
Menomonie's definitely they're undefeated, just beat Hudson. They're a really good team. A lot of senior leadership. So I think really focusing on our game more. There are going to be mistakes. There's going to be moments that aren't the best, but I think we've got a good system. We've really pulled it together. We're still growing, obviously, as every team is, but I think we have some advantages on them. So if we can really just focus on what we do and what we want to do, then we can hopefully pull out a win. See if conferences try to win conference.
Thank you, Rayna, for that excellent interview. And then, as Rayna said, just looking forward, we're going to have DC Everest first on the 28th in the Eau Claire Memorial Classic.
Should be more of the same with that one.
Yep, that's the hope anyway. And then we've got Menomonie on January 5th here at the Eagle's Nest. And, I don't think Rayna, I don't think we could put it any better than she did. We got to watch out for them. They are tough. Yeah. They're putting up a cumulative about 200 more points than their opponent has put up this season so far. And, it looks like we are going to be playing a very aggressive team as well.
Yeah, and about that aggressiveness, it really shows on the defense, where they get 17.1 steals per game, 2.7 blocks per game, and also have significantly more fouls than the opponents, which shows they're aggressive and not afraid to be a little too aggressive at some points.
Yeah, I think, we've seen a lot of aggressive teams, most notably Eau Claire North, and I think that with our free throw percentage being what it is, that is something that we could possibly take advantage of here. Just making sure that if, we draw those fouls and then we take the shots they give us, And just beyond that as well, Menomonie did defeat Hudson, the only team so far that has been able to defeat us, and they are the top of the Big Rivers Conference for girls basketball.
With an undefeated 9-0 record.
Yeah, so they're tough. They're tough. We could say it 100 different ways, But they are going to come to play. They're going to come to, continue that undefeated streak, and we're going to have to be the ones to disrupt it. We're sitting at third in the conference right now, which is certainly not too shabby. But if we want to climb the ranks and get to top of conference, it's going to have to start here with Menomonie. We are looking forward to an excellent game here.
With boys basketball, we said it was going to be a tough week, and it most certainly was.
Yep.
Starting off against New Richmond, though, we were able to come away with a solid win, winning by 11 points, although it most definitely was not easy. They were pretty even in most of the stat categories, with the exception being points off of turnovers, which we won handily. But yeah, it was really even. They came to play, and it was a hard-fought victory for the Apes.
Yeah, New Richmond definitely playing like they were gunning for that number one spot in the Big Rivers Conference. Commendations to them. But we were going to hold on to that spot. We defended our position at the top fiercely, and we were able to continue our win streak. It was a very exciting game here at the Eagles Nest. Home field advantage definitely played a part. We had a decent-sized student section, hopefully going to build on those as the season, gets more interesting. But yeah, couldn't have asked for a better game against number 2 New Richmond. They gave it a fight, and we eventually came out on top. Cooper Jesperson had an 18-point game, pretty nice for him. But Bryce Hedtke had an excellent night of his own with 17 points, and we actually caught him for an exclusive interview. Here's what he had to say about the big win.
A 7-0 start for you guys, but it hasn't been an easy road to hoe here. You've had to go up against the then undefeated River Falls Wildcats. You just played the second-ranked team in the conference, and you are up against Spash this Friday. They are currently undefeated and winning their game as of tonight. So how do you think you guys are going to prepare, and how do you think you're going to come out on top against your third rough opponent in a row?
Just by our practice. We prepare every game like it's the exact same. We don't want to get too high and get too low. We have a definition of success, and we haven't reached that yet. So we keep going hard in practice. We watch a ton of film all the time. Just keep being us.
Thank you, Bryce Hedtke, for that excellent interview. Now, moving on to Spash. It was supposed to be a good game, and it was. 7-0 Memorial, 8-0 Spash. The number 5 and number 4 ranked teams in the state. Now, Charles, what happened?
Well, unfortunately, Spash remains undefeated and Memorial falls to 7-1. It was a 58-63 game, rather competitive, and most notably, tied at halftime 21-21.
Yeah, we have had a trend where we've been losing in the second half lately. With our game against River Falls, we had less points in the second half, but were able to win in overtime. In New Richmond, we had a strong first half, but we only beat them by 1 in the second half. And in this game, we lost because of our second half performance, where we were slow off the bat, getting to as low as a 13-point deficit. Now, we were able to crawl back a little bit at the end, but it was just too little too late.
I think something that contributes to our inability to really come out in the second half and take the fight back to them is that we were a little lower than we would have liked to be in three-point percentage, especially compared to Spash themselves. Now, the 39.1% three-point percentage that we were able to achieve is not bad by any stretch of the imagination at this level. However, when you compare it to the nearly 53% that Spash was able to have, that becomes concerning, because if a couple more of those threes were to fall, that's a very different final score that we're looking at. The three ball, that is an insanely useful tool. We have Cooper Jesperson, Wesley Mboga, just about everybody out there can knock down a three when needed. So it's a huge part of our game, and I think just revitalizing that and making sure that more of those shots fall is going to go a long way in these more high-caliber matchups.
And this isn't just a trend from this game. It's something that we have been seeing since the first couple of weeks this season, where we had a 50% average field goal percentage through those first 3 games, which has just been slowly going down and down and down.
Yeah, to be expected to a degree when the opponents get harder and harder. However, just making sure that, when we have the opportunity presenting itself, just making sure we knock those down I think that, recovering from Spash should be a fairly easy feat here. It would have been nice to come away with a win, however.
Looking ahead, we have a bit of an easier schedule. We play Madison Memorial in the tournament, and then we go on to play Menomonie, both games which should allow us to rebound from that loss against Spash.
Yeah, I mean, we were harping on them a little bit for the loss against Spash, and it would have been nice to remain undefeated. But the fact remains we are 7-1, and we had to go through 3 very tough games right in a row, and 2 out of those 3 were victorious. When the chips were down, we were able to show our strength, I think. And even though we didn't quite come away with all 3, I think it was a very impressive feat to get the majority of those tough wins. And I think this little bit of a break here, making sure that we can just really dial in on, like we said, the 3-point percentage, really coming out aggressively in the second half. All of those things should be made that much easier by these upcoming matchups here.
Mm-hmm. And as always, go A's!
Hey everybody, I'm Aidan Rickert, Eagle Eyes Other Guy. If you're interested in more MHS sports content, be sure to check out our TikTok, Instagram, and check out some of the other videos on our YouTube channel. And while you're at it, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more. Go Abes!